This week, a special episode where we sit down with one of the premier content creators on YouTube for dollar box content, as well as a premium low-end reseller on eBay, Collects, and whatnot. We're going to take you along for his journey from dollar box digs to show day hustle as he has grown his presence from a collector to a reseller, content creator, all the way to now a show promoter. So stick around if you've ever dug in a dollar box. This episode's for you. Live at the Goat Card Show in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Welcome to my so-called card life. An inside look at the life of a low-end card reseller. Brought to you by JC3 Cards and Collectibles, a premier reseller of trading cards available today on eBay, Collects, and whatnot. Whether you're looking to fill out that new set or just rekindle memories with one of your favorite players from your favorite teams, let JC3 Cards and Collectibles help you find that card you're looking for and provide fast, secure delivery straight to your door. Welcome back to my so-called card life. Today we are sitting down with Adam Petersen, probably more commonly known as the Dollar Box. You've probably seen his YouTube channel, and you may have bought some cards from him as well on eBay and other platforms. Adam's with us today to talk about his journey in the hobby from collector all the way to now a show promoter. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and yo, yo, yo.
Yo, 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 that's right. Anyone who has been to the Dollar Box YouTube channel is familiar with that saying. Adam starts off every show that way, and we've got a live we collaborate on every Wednesday night. We always start the show with that yo, yo, yo. Not one yo, not
That's
two
right.
yos,
That's right.
but three yos.
Correct. Correct. Don't get it twisted.
So, Adam, you've been doing this for a long time now. When did you first get into collecting? Because I understand you started as a collector like most of us, right?
Yeah, I was very young. My uncle was actually big into cards. Probably started with my grandfather, who unfortunately passed when I was real young.
Mm-hmm.
But my uncle actually lived with us for a little while. And I caught him just sitting on the floor sorting cards one day.
Sure.
And, I was probably 5 or 6 years old maybe at the time. And I was just intrigued by that. Like, what is this? Oh, these are baseball players, and I sort them by teams. And
Yep.
he was a set collector. Most of the generation before us, he collected the way they did. He'd buy a box of packs and sort them out and give away the doubles and whatever. And he gave me some cards, including a Mickey Mantle card, a 1969 Topps Mickey Mantle.
Okay.
And he said, hey, you want to get started in cards? Take this Mickey Mantle. It'll be easy to trade and trade it for some other cards that you want.
Nice.
Which, of course, I should have kept the Mickey Mantle.
That's a great early start, right?
It was.
Like, can't we all just get a early mantle given to us? That would be great.
69 Mantle. It was the white letters, not the yellow letters.
Yep.
So it was a more common one. But yeah, I was able to trade that, got some other packs, and kind of got started myself that way, and started buying boxes like he did.
Sure.
So the very first year was 1987 Topps was my first box purchase, if you will. The wood border, you can never forget that design.
Iconic.
So I was 10 years old. I think it was $24 for the box.
Okay.
It was really cheap. And cheap relative to today's prices anyway. And I can remember buying the box. I have a terrible memory. And I have these little pieces of time that I remember, and I tend to continue to live my life by them in those instances. But I can remember going into Shopko, and they had the bottom shelves. I was 10, so I was short. They had the bottom shelves by the toy section just packed with boxes of 87 Topps.
Amazing.
Packs. Right. It's kind of like when we were kids and we'd go into the toy store and they actually had stuff on the shelf.
Up on the shelf, yep. So when you got into it early on from that moment, were you primarily looking to collect specific players? Were you a team collector, or were you just all about the chase?
Yeah, I think it was some of each. I was I think at that time I was just kind of trying to find what I wanted to do with cards.
Right.
I didn't really want to be a set collector. I didn't really have a specific player I wanted to collect. To be honest with you, I was kind of chasing whatever was the most valuable cards in the set. So I'd pull out the Jose Canseco's and the Will Clarks and whoever else was big at that time. I'm trying to think, Mark McGuire,
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, 87 tops.
Yeah.
87 tops was a great year to start.
Yeah.
They were great players, overproduced, product of course, but the players were great, rookie players. So I just started pulling that stuff aside, and I focused more on those cards.
Right. Right. All right. Well, then a lot of collectors run into a point where they say, "Man, this really could turn into something more." Let's talk about that moment for you. When did you start to think about reselling some of those cards?
Yeah, and I did that pretty early on too. I would buy tables with my cousin. I was probably 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
Started to just try to turn some of the cards and buy other cards I wanted. At that time, I was not smart enough business wise
Yeah.
to understand that buying packs to open to get cards to sell was not a great way to do it.
Right. Right.
Unless you could do it in vast mass quantity, which I couldn't, of course. But I realized that I could sell cards for some profit if I looked to buy the right ones.
Sure.
Fast forward to today, I kind of got back into it pre-COVID, like 2016, 17, just pulling out some stuff. I had bought a new house, and you have the boxes that kind of don't ever get empty.
Right.
One
Right.
of the boxes in the basement was my cards. I just started going through them one night, and I had Tom Brady jersey cards in there and stuff, and started looking them up, and I was like, oh, this stuff really moves. And I was a Favre collector for a long time, so I kind of got back into buying lots of Favres and stuff, and just listing. I got back into eBay, started listing my extras of Favres, and
Yeah.
man, even base cards I was making money on.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's something here. Like, this is a money making, you know, business at this point. So I just started kind of growing it from there, buying bigger lots and expanding to more players and more boxes.
So it sounds like it was a very intentional decision. It wasn't just, what the heck am I going to do with this stuff? You realized early on that there was money to be made in this, whether it's to just earn that money to get that next big card you're chasing after, or just sustain some extra cash, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was never originally intended to become like a full-time job or anything. It was just to get some extra money and, if nothing else, just to pay for the cards I wanted to collect.
Yeah.
I collected PSA graded Favre stuff and started looking more at like the really rare 90s inserts, precious metal gems and star rubies and that kind of stuff. And I got back in early enough before the big booms, and I was able to obtain some of those cards for
Right.
reasonable prices. Um, and then, just whatever extras I would get in lots, I would just resell.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, do you remember what venue you had your first card sale on? Was it, was it eBay? Was it at a card show? Just at a table talking with somebody, or how did you make that first sale?
Yeah, I was definitely at a card show.
Okay.
I used to set up at two different shows in Green Bay back in the day. They had a show over by Lambeau. I think it was a Holiday Inn or something
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible show. The tables were bad. There was no lighting. They charged admission, like stuff I went into as a promoter now. But when we get into promoter conversations, those are the types of things I want to talk about.
Sure.
But the first card I ever sold, I sold at a card show in a bowling alley in a Schwabenon. Schwabenon Lanes. Yep. They had a little back room, card show. Everybody was selling their 86 tops traded sets for like the big thing at the time.
Yeah.
Selling sets. And I had sold that Mickey Mantle card that I got from my uncle.
Yep.
So that was the first card I ever sold. We actually got some money from it. And I spent it all at that show right then and there.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think a lot of people have similar stories that way. Question for our listeners today. Where was your first card sale? Was it online at a show, or was it just with a friend where you made a pretty easy transaction out of it? Curious to hear your stories out there as well. Now, Adam, a lot of people would stop there. Hey, I'm a collector and I resell from time to time. But at some point, you made a decision to go to the next level, which was to start sharing your story with other people. What was really that moment that gave you the idea to start creating content around the hobby and sharing some of your experiences?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one because I'm not like a radio voice or anything like that. I was never into anything production or any of that stuff before. And it's funny because I've heard this story 100 times from YouTubers where they're like, I tried to make it perfect and just make a video, just make a video,
Right,
just make a video,
right.
just get started.
We all go through it.
Yeah, and I did. I made a video, just kind of about what I was doing essentially. There was a lot of channels that were popping up, and most of them were talking about how easy it was to take a base Zion Williamson rookie card, grade it, and sell it for 10x. And I thought that was pretty dangerous because I'd been in cards for so long that I knew that wasn't a real thing, like not sustainable for me. And I wanted to make what I like to call responsible content,
Right.
where I wanted to start talking about low-end cards are fine too. There's blue chip players, right? If you look at it like stocks, you have your Hall of Famers and things like that. And there's these small chip stocks, right, or small company investments where you've got prospects and
Right.
rookies and things like that. So I wanted to kind of give provide content that was going to be a little bit more of a basic understanding of the business of cards and the ups and downs that it can take.
Sure.
And then really focus on low-end card selling because I really believe that's the best place for someone to build a business if you have smaller capital, if you're responsible for other
Right.
monetary things in life. It's a great, more conservative, business building approach to cards. You could take those cards, sell those cards, buy into some bigger cards if you want to go that route. That's just a great way for people to get started.
Absolutely.
And to be honest with you, the economy was being created for that right at that time. eBay started standard envelope program, where you could get tracking. They're rewarding you by giving you more listings. And you only had 10,000 listings until that time. They started adding an additional 50,000 listings. It became more viable to sell volume on eBay, for low-end cards.
Right.
So I just wanted to kind of be a channel that would bring more of that out and invite more sellers, and then, of course, to advertise my own business and create my own, following and content that people would be interested in me in. I thought I could kind of get all of that in one effort. So YouTube made a lot of sense for that.
Sure. And how did people initially respond to that? Did some of your content just take off like gangbusters right out of the gate, or was it a more of a slow build?
It's definitely more of a slow build. It's a niche market for sure. And then I'm talking about the non-sexy stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The low-end cards, not the shiny downtown and all that kind of stuff. I never really did it with the goal in mind of getting 1 million subscribers, and that'd be great, I guess, but it wasn't why I did it.
Right.
But I definitely learned in a hurry which videos would do better than others. I started doing like breaking videos, and that didn't really do that well because I wasn't breaking like special products.
Right.
Didn't really enjoy it, so I didn't bring a lot of personality into those videos. But my instructional videos did very well. I would get a couple thousand views on them. It allowed me to build the channel. Definitely built slowly, but continuously. There was progress. Every video I released, I would get a little bit more traffic.
Yeah.
Um,
Was
and
there
then-
was there a particular video that you remember being like, "Aha, I'm onto something"?
Yeah, definitely I wouldn't say one specific video, but a small group of videos I was doing at the time, where I was just focusing on how to get profits off of low end cards.
Okay.
I focused more not just on how to sell low end cards, how to get low end cards, but how to claim profits from them.
Sure.
That was obviously very helpful.
Yeah, I can understand why, right?
Yeah.
We talk about the low end market being a bit of a grind. So it's more important that you're squeezing every little bit of margin you can out of there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of small decisions you make as a low end reseller that can have a huge impact on how your business grows.
And I
Right?
wanted to stress a lot on the buying is when you make the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to, like, we all talk about the selling because that's like the biggest part of our activity.
Yes.
But honestly, like days like today at a show where we're buying cards, you have to be disciplined. You have to know what you're doing. As a matter of fact, I bought from a dealer that I buy from pretty regularly, and we always have conversation on, because he might be out of box for what, an hour or two.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm really impressed with how disciplined you are. He's like, I understand, I see what you're buying, and I know what you're going to buy. And as a matter of fact, he puts cards in there he thinks I would be interested in for
Specifically
that
for you.
reason.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, it's because of what we do. We don't want to take losses on this stuff. We need to stay disciplined in what we buy for resale.
Right.
But in the same light, if you're buying a 10-cent card, you can take a chance too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really like the market because I feel like there's a lot of different ways I can go with it.
So now you've been creating content for a number of years, and there's expectations from an audience to have you put more out there on a regular basis, right? How do you handle it when maybe you feel like you don't want to film something or do another episode on something, and you just want to enjoy the moment? You don't want to worry about thinking about how will this turn up in content, but you've got a following now that wants to see more content. So how do you balance that out when you're feeling like, yeah, this is something I don't really want to do content for, but I owe it to people to get it out there?
Yeah, there's definitely a built-in responsibility at this point. I just try not to let that drive me to make content because then I don't think the content will be any good if I'm just doing it for someone else. It is just a side thing too. I mean, it's not the way I make an income. I'm not Mr. Beast,
Yeah.
I make my money off of the actual card selling. Um, and again, I've never made videos because of that reason. But I do have an audience that does like specific videos, so I do try to create time, set some time aside where I can make some of those videos and put
Sure.
them out. Just not going to do a video a day kind of thing. I
Right.
don't know that that's necessary. Um, I don't have time to do that. I really don't have a desire to do that. So try to make a couple videos a week. I really like our live show because I feel like we can involve the viewers a lot more.
Sure.
Um, there's more I can talk about at one time. It's easier to make the video. I turn on the camera, we don't do our thing, I
No
turn it off,
editing or
and it's
anything.
done. I don't edit it. I don't add any flash. Um, I feel like the content is quality every time. We do get guests on there. Um, so I think that's my favorite way is just to do the live blog style uh, weekly video, and we have a regular audience for that.
Yeah, and
For
it's a
sure.
very casual, organic conversation most weeks, so I can see how that always stays fresh for you versus, all right, I'm going to do another sales video or I'm going to do another video on shipping ESE, right?
And I like it because it's scheduled. I know every Wednesday at 8 o'clock I do this thing.
Right.
The other videos, it's like it's kind of random. Oh, I've got time now, or I don't. I feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing it. I need scheduling in my life,
Yep.
and that Wednesday live show just it ticks that box for me, which makes me really want to do it. You and I get to have a conversation ahead of time, kind of talk about what we want to do. Create some more visual stuff. We've been able to kind of collaborate on it, make a better, solid production, I think,
Sure.
than if I'm just going out making something on my own, really,
Yeah.
at random times.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun for me as well. We seem to have a pretty solid following on the lives, so the content seems to be appreciated. But we still get questions saying, "Hey, when are you going to put out another video for this? Or
Yep,
when are you going
yep.
to put a video up for that?" So it is a constant part of the business, right? That you need to keep going.
And I think it's more, try to talk about this on the live. It's more time consuming than people realize.
It is.
Especially if it's something you got to edit. I shoot a lot of stuff with my GoPro, so I got to download all the video and I got to convert it to YouTube's, whatever their platform is that they need it to be in.
Right.
Um, and then you got to upload it, and you got to add thumbnails, and you got to do descriptions,
Think about
end
titles.
cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just becomes a bigger project sometimes than you can take on in an hour or two in a day.
Yeah. So you built up this content catalog for the Dollar Box to where it is a well-known name. In fact, I was working with a buyer just earlier this week,
Yeah.
and in the course of the conversation, I recommended they check us out on Wednesday night, and they're like, "Oh, you know the Dollar Box? I've just worked with them recently." So you've got a pretty big reach out there, um, and I think that can be seen as nothing more than an unmitigated success of the content you put out there. But then you took another leap and you decided you wanted to do more, and you looked at running an actual show here locally. Let's talk through that a little bit more for a few minutes.
Sure.
So you had this idea that you wanted to get involved promoting your own card show here locally. What caused that idea? Like, what was the spark for that?
I think just kind of going back to my original days in cards, I used to do shows all the time when I was a kid, and I loved it. But then it always seemed like, and even to today, card shows never really changed,
Yeah.
right? There may be bigger, there might be, now there's Facebook ads and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more to it than, just looking in the back of Beckett to see if there was a show in Green Bay, that month. But they were relatively run the same. You come in, here's your table assignment, you don't really hear from the promoters. You fold up when you're done, you go home, that's kind of the end of it. However, there are a few shows that do it a little bit bigger and a little differently
Right.
that I have experienced. So I just felt like there was a lot of things I really liked about card shows, and there was a lot of things I didn't like about card shows.
Okay.
And if I were to build my own card show, what would that look like?
It would have beef tip sandwiches.
And we do have beef dip sandwiches too, which is amazing. And are you ever going to get 1,000% what you want? No,
No.
because then it would be free, and there would be ladies dancing, and there would be a petting zoo here.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I mean, my imagination is as big as everybody else's, but that's just not how you can really get it done. So I had to kind of stay within it too, and make it viable. And the first challenge was finding a venue that we liked that would suit the needs of what we wanted to build, and then put a team together that was going to be able to accomplish these goals. So myself, you, JC3 Cards and Collectibles, and our wives, we're going to be that team, and we could do what we needed to do.
Right.
And then just come up with the ideas. Well, this is what I don't like. This is what I do like. These are some fun things we could add. Your company came up with kind of the goat angle, and using the goat, the screaming goats and all that. So it made a lot of sense. I really wanted a fun name for a card show versus the Green Bay card show, the Appleton, card show.
Yeah.
We came up with the goat show, right? The greatest of all time is normally what the goat stands for. We changed the letters to stand for the greatest official awesome trading card show ever. So we kind of did a play on the goat as well. We were able to get a good designer to come up with a logo for us, and it just made a lot of sense. It was a good step for us to take. was a way for us to give back to the community. I always wanted to have a charity aspect tied into it. I
Yeah.
don't feel like enough shows do that, and it's community based, so why not?
That
Um,
actually is a good segue for me to ask what have you found the most rewarding so far out of doing this? We're at the 1 year anniversary
we
of
are.
the first Goat Card Show. So what would you say has been one of the most rewarding things taking this journey as a promoter?
I just think accomplishing the goal we set out to come to do.
Hmm.
We made a better card show, in my opinion. It's a lot better, flow. There's more involvement with the dealers all the way through the process. There's more promotion, to the guests. We made it more family friendly. I think I'm most proud of. If I have to pick a specific thing, I think it would be being more family friendly, more interactive with the show, as well as the charity aspect.
Yeah, the
I think
charity
that
piece
I
has
think
been
that
really
blankets
big.
it. Everything else is dealers buying and selling, and having a bigger breadth at the show. Having more non-sport stuff and TCG, and being a true trading card show versus just a sports card show.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not exactly what I wanted to build. I wanted to
Right.
have something that your kids could come and find something to buy.
Absolutely.
Um, if they don't want to do that, they can run around and try to find the little goats and get themselves. Hey, dad's into cards, kid isn't. Kid can run around, find some goats. Here, dad, I got you $5 towards your
Absolutely.
card purchases today. We do a lot of buying. All of our vendors are buying. So those just looking to come in and get some extra cash, with some cards that they don't have any involvement in, great. Our dealers can take those cards off their hands
Absolutely.
and cash you out. So, but yeah, number one overall, I would say family, friendly, and charity.
Excellent. So of
I know
course,
that's more than one, but
yeah,
too bad.
math. Let's talk about the math there a little bit. But so
That's bad math, Adam.
so of course, we talk about how rewarding it is. We've got to take a minute here to talk about some of the challenges that have come up as well. What have been some of the biggest challenges of taking on an undertaking like this?
First of all, I want to say there's no way in hell we could do the show without
No,
Jamie and Brianna,
amen.
um, and the support of our families and friends and everybody else. Uh, there's no way this would happen without it. But I think the biggest challenge is just juggling all of it, right? So you've got dealers and they want specific locations, and then handling payments, and some pay at the show, and then I can make this show, but I can't make that show, but I want to reserve my spot. And there's just a lot of, there's a lot to deal with that.
Yeah.
You've got
There's
kind
contracts with venues.
contracts with, working with the venues, making sure they get what we need, making sure the shows are set up correctly. And then you got to promote it, right? That's our primary responsibility. So we do stuff like this. We do blogs, and we have our weekly, YouTube show where we always talk about the party show and promote it that way. And then we've got Facebook, and you got to pay for advertising, you got to do giveaways. So you got to finance some things, you got to manage the money. We have a partnership LLC, so there's, tax reporting. And, like, there's a lot into it. I think we got it down pretty good now, but there's definitely challenges every single show. It's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's ask our viewers here. If they've been to the Goat Card Show here in Green Bay, what is one of your favorite memories, or what is one of the things that stands out in your visits to our show that's a little different from other shows you've been to? We'd love to hear that. And any kind of feedback you can provide us helps us build the show in the future, and meet as many of those requests as possible, and give a show that people really want out there. Well, Adam, you've done a lot. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture here for a minute. Where do you see the dollar? Well, I'll tell you what. Before I go to that, let's look at the show behind us here as we record this. Um, what's your advice for somebody out there that is maybe digging a dollar box for the very first time?
Yeah, I would say and we talk about this a lot on the Discord too. So join our Discord if you haven't. That's where a lot of this good conversation comes from too. My biggest suggestion would be to just not dive headfirst and go all in from day one.
Yeah.
Buy a few cards, sell a few cards. Build yourself some reputation, build a brand. A lot of people say you can't build a brand on eBay, and that's not true. We've proven that. We talk about that all the time. Get yourself a logo, get some business cards, and if you're gonna build this into a serious business, take it like a serious business, run it like a serious business. But if you're just getting into the dollar box and want to pick up a few cards, see how it goes, buy a few things that you're for sure gonna do okay on. Buy the blue chips. Um, Try to find some deals, right? If it's a dollar box, don't just buy one card for $1. Try to buy 10 cards so you can get them for $7. Try to get yourself some bonus margin right off the bat. But I wouldn't, go out, get a loan for $10,000 and spend
No,
ten thousand
absolutely
dollars at your
not.
first show. Because there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to master, and you don't have a receptive, audience or customer base yet. So take it slow, learn a little bit, join the Discord, learn from others, um, and you'll be off and running eventually.
Solid advice from the dollar box right there. So, speaking of the dollar box, what's the future look like for the dollar box? Where do you see things going from here?
I want to continue expanding out to different markets. I started listing on Whatnot and Collects. I want to do more live shows. Um, when I started this as a true business, my ultimate goal was to build my own website to sell on, probably through Shopify. So that's something I'm continuing to look into. I need time. Everything takes time. So
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
That's your biggest commodity as someone in this business.
it is, yeah, definitely, even more than money because you can trade time for money, but you can't really trade money for time.
Right.
It's one thing you can't get back. Um, yeah, I just want to continue building it, continue building the brand, continue growing the show, build the YouTube audience, do them all in reasonable time. Like give myself
Yeah.
reasonable goals. I think people burn hot and they burn out, and I really want to try to avoid that. Um, but make sure I have work-life balance. That
Yeah,
sometimes I
very
struggle
important.
with. I want to make sure I've got a little person at home. I want to make sure she gets the time she deserves. We got an elder dog and then a puppy on top of it all. And,
Yeah.
of course, my wonderful wife who is involved in this stuff and gives me time to be able to do this and just provide ourselves a nice, comfortable lifestyle and continue to pursue growth.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, I want to thank you for sitting down with us today and talking about your journey. It's been a fascinating story of just all the different things that it has taken you to, from being a collector to a reseller to then being a predominant content creator for this particular market. And now being a show promoter, and I'm going to put another tag on that, is really a community builder. This is a community around the hobby that we put together, and we really try to bring people around together around that. So I want to thank you for all your efforts on that. If you are listening today and you're enjoying this podcast and Adam's story here and some of the advice he was able to share, want to make sure you like, subscribe, and share to the channel, JC3 Cards and Collectibles, as well as the Dollar Box on YouTube. He's got a great channel out there with a lot of content. He's got a catalog of videos he's done in the past, continues to put out new content regularly. And also, as a seller, you can find the Dollar Box on eBay, Whatnot, and
What?
Collects. Anything else I missed on that?
I think that pretty covers it for right now.
And actually, a second store, the Dollar Box 2
Yes.
on eBay, right? Where
Non-sports store.
non-sports in particular. Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks again, Adam. I appreciate you joining us today. Any final words?
just thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and you know, collaborating with you has really helped grow my business as well.
It's been a great trip so far.
Yeah, and I really think that as long as we continue on our paths and we're successful, we'll be happy, and we'll keep bringing you guys more content. And love to be on the show again. It was a good time.
Absolutely. We'll bring you back
Thank you for
anytime.
having me.
All right. Well, that's our show for this week, episode 8 of My So-Called Card Life. Until next time, everybody, keep digging it to win it.